has been a ridiculously busy couple of days for me, so I haven't been able to make nearly as many news-related videos as I want to, but we are getting back on track this week, hopefully, and we need to talk about the Young Republicans and their ridiculously problematic comments. Now, the Young Republicans National Federation is an organization that is made up of 15,000 people, and the people who were caught making those comments in the chat were the people who were elected to lead the different branches of that organization. So these were people in leadership positions. Now, don't get the name twisted. The name is called the Young Republicans. But these people ranged from 18 years old to 40 years old. Some of the people in this chat were older than me, or as my mom would say, old enough to know better. Not only were the people in this chat elected to lead the branches in their state, but some of them were also seeking to lead nationally as well. These are the type of people who are aspiring to be the head of the party. So even though they are young by the fossil Mitch McConnell standards, they are still not young. These were grown-arse people making grown-arse comments. Now, this particular group chat, as reported by Politico, who broke this story, had about 12 leaders in it from the Young Republicans. And they were representing states like New York, Kansas, Vermont, and Arizona. And the messages weren't just like one-off jokes or anything like that. 28,000 messages were recovered. And they were full of misogynistic, racist, xenophobic, homophobic, and sexist comments from these leaders. And when I say these comments were raunchy, these comments were raunchy. Saying that essaying somebody was epic, saying that they loved the mustache man. Side note, are we surprised by any of this? At this point, the entirety of the Republican Party is summed up in this chat. I mean, the fact that they supported slavery in this chat isn't even surprising to me, but I digress. But I have to admit, what was surprising was the pushback and the instant consequences from the Republicans who employed these people. Peter Gunta, who was probably one of the most outspoken people in the chat, praising the mustache man and joking about sending his opponents or people who didn't support him as the chair of the Young Republicans to the gas chamber. He actually resigned from the Young Republicans within the last month or so because of allegations of misappropriated funds, or serious potential financial misconduct, to be exact. But he had also worked for 5 years as the chief of staff of Assemblyman Michael Rowley, who is a Republican. After this report went out about this chat, he was fired and tried to say some BS apology that nobody believes. Bobby Walker, who had replaced Gunta when he resigned from the Young Republicans, was caught on the chat saying that essay was epic and referring to gay people as the F word. Walker even put in the chat that if the chat was ever leaked, everybody would be cooked. So he did know that they were doing something wrong, and they still decided to do it anyway. Well, Walker was supposed to manage a campaign of a person who was running for New York senator. He will no longer be running that campaign. So FAFO with that. He also apologized. Don't care. He doesn't mean it. Sorry he got caught, maybe. Now, Samuel Douglas is also a leader of the Young Republicans who was in the group chat, and he is a sitting senator in Vermont. The Republican governor of Vermont, Phil Scott, said that Samuel Douglas should resign, calling the chat deeply disturbing. The governor said that there was simply no excuse for it, and everybody in the chat should resign their roles and leave the party, which includes Samuel Douglas. I have to say that I didn't think there was a Republican left who would say those kinds of words because of this chat. It's not like Bone Spurs or the couch-friendly VP had any condemnation for this chat. And they are the leaders of the party. Now, Douglas was there with his wife, Breonna Douglas, and they both made anti-Semitic comments. William Hendricks was the vice chair of the Kansas Young Republicans. He loved using variations of the N-word, using that word over a dozen times in the chat. Now, Hendricks worked as a communication specialist with the AG of Kansas, Chris Kobach. Well, not anymore, because the office said that he is no longer working there. And the best thing about Kansas is that the Young Republicans, that entire branch, is inactive now because of this chat. Like, the whole thing is gone. They all need to do that. Get rid of all of them because they are breeding just a bunch of little bone spurs. Now, the couch-friendly VP wants to paint these Young Republicans as children who are just making jokes and that we shouldn't ruin their lives because of their jokes. But this is the thing. They're not jokes. Sentiments like this, speech like this, hatred like this, these thoughts that come out of these heads from the leaders of an organization that works within our government and have control over people's lives through legislation and influence, those are not jokes. Because when you have hateful people like that making laws for everybody, guess who is going to be negatively affected by the laws that they make? Hateful people create hateful laws. And these are people in power. These 18 to 40-year-olds are not children. They are old enough to know better. And they are working within the government already to create an environment that hurts the people that they were talking about in that chat. This isn't a joke. At this day and age, this is not a joke. This right here, ignoring this right here, ignoring comments like this, treating these leaders, these grown arse people as children, saying that it was just harmless joking around, that is how we got bone spurs. The complacency and the silence of the seemingly small stuff, that is how we got bone spurs. It's not a joke. Comments like that, people like this is what has led us to this authoritarian fascist regime that we are in right now. So what we are not going to do is treat this like a joke. Like those people really wouldn't want to see black people back in chains. Like people really wouldn't want to see their opponents trapped in a room filled with gas. We ain't gonna act like these people weren't serious in that chat. That's what we're not gonna do. The Republican Party has become such a visceral, violent, and hateful party that even their most vile comments are treated like a joke. It's embarrassing. And if you are a Republican, if you still call yourself a Republican now, you should be embarrassed by how far your party has fallen. We used to fight stuff like this. We fought a whole war about it. And you have become the monster that you fought. You were bitten by the zombie, and you have become one yourself. And everybody thought it was funny that Vivek Ramaswamy, which I don't like him at all, he got what he got. But he's running for governor, and he did a town hall, and he had a whole bunch of racist new voters, new Republicans, telling him that he didn't deserve to be governor because he's not American enough for them, because his faith is Hindu and not Christian. Wrongly taught that America is a Christian country, which it's not. We have freedom of religion. It is a whole constitutional amendment. This is not a Christian country. But because Vivek Ramaswamy's faith is not Christian and his skin is not white, he was lambasted at that town hall from people who don't want to see somebody like him as the leader of their state. Now, I agree with them. I don't want him as the leader of their state either, but not for the reasons that they don't. And it was a rude awakening for Vivek Ramaswamy, because he thought that bashing other brown people would get him a leg up. It doesn't, because they don't like you either. They'll agree with all the things that you have to say. Those 18-year-olds, new voters who couldn't see a brown person of a different faith as American, this is what the Republican Party is breeding in this country. To the point where even if we get rid of bone spurs, the Republican Party is still infested with hatred, with disdain for others. The damage has been done. They have been bit by the zombie, and it is rapidly spreading to the entirety of the party. So good on the leaders who fired and had consequences for the people in the chat, but y'all need to have a bigger conversation about the culture of your party in general, because that chat was not a one-off. That is what they think in general. That is what they think, glorifying all that hatred. It's dangerous, and y'all need to do something about that. Perhaps making an example of the people who are at the top of the ticket may send a loud enough message. You think?